Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is glaring hypocrisy when you have Republicans on the other side of the aisle trying to create definitions and say Rashida wants to annihilate people, when Max Miller himself went on TV and said we're turning Gaza into a parking lot and we want to annihilate Palestinians. Nobody condemned him on that side of the aisle. What is true here is that every single one of them has not acknowledged the fact that Palestinians are dying in the tens of thousands, but will continue to say it is us who are not acknowledging humanity. Rashida will stand strong.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
All right, guys, buckle up. Because this moment on the House floor wasn't just another debate. It was a collision of raw emotion and unfiltered truth. The chamber echoed with accusations of hypocrisy as one side claimed moral high ground, while the other exposed selective outrage. This wasn't politics as usual. This was confrontation in its purest form. When names like Rashida and Omar came up, the air got heavy. Every word became a weapon. Every pause, a signal of tension and power. This is where politics stops being polite and becomes personal. This is where truth fights for oxygen in a room full of agendas, and every viewer could feel the heat of that.
From the great state of Ohio.
The gentleman is recognized for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman from Mississippi for yielding. Mr. Speaker, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs has broad jurisdiction over national security and foreign policy, peacekeeping and peace enforcement, international law, and the promotion of democracy, and many other critical issues that require its members to be both objective and credible. Members of the Committee on Foreign Affairs represent the United States abroad and are regarded as credible emissaries of American foreign policy. Their words have significant weight in guiding our relations with other countries and are relied upon by world leaders. Most importantly, our allies such as Israel, the forever home of the Jews.
The cameras rolled. Max Miller took the stand with the confidence of a man ready to rewrite the narrative. His tone sharp, his intent clear. He painted Omar not as a critic, but as a threat to credibility. He spoke of the Foreign Affairs Committee, not as a seat, but as a symbol of America's image. Before the world, to him words matter, because they shape how allies see us, how enemies read us, and how history remembers us. Miller wasn't debating policy. He was questioning legitimacy. He was building a case that some voices weaken the foundation. They stand on, and that silence in the face of such voices is complicity.
We're viewed as a credible emissary of our foreign policy. What if a member is barred from visiting one of our allies because of their prejudiced comments? How can members who are unable to engage with our allies in a constructive manner be considered credible members of the committee? Well, the gentlelady's discriminatory comments disqualified her from traveling to Israel in 2019. Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, would not allow Representative Omar to enter, saying, "We respect all political parties in the United States equally. However, we will also respect ourselves. Whoever comes to impose boycotts on us and to deny the legitimacy of the State of Israel, we will not allow them entry." Yes, the gentlelady disqualified herself from entry into one of the most important countries allied with the United States. Over the past 75 years, Israel has been a steadfast ally of the United States. Israel has stood by us through the volatility in the Middle East, and this alliance has been critical to our own national security. How can someone not welcomed by one of our most important allies serve as an emissary of American foreign policy on the Foreign Affairs Committee? And given her biased comments,
when Miller brought up Netanyahu's decision to bar Omar from entering Israel, the chamber fell into a tense silence. It wasn't just about travel, it was about trust. If one of America's closest allies viewed her as biased, how could she represent the nation abroad? Miller framed that moment as proof that loyalty and credibility must coexist. He called Israel the heartbeat of America's Middle East policy, a 75-year bond that cannot be fractured by prejudice. His tone grew firmer as he declared that anyone who disrespects an ally disrespects the nation itself, and his words carried the weight of conviction, not just
An
politics.
objective decision maker on the committee. Let's take a look at some of the gentlelady's comments. In February of 2019, barely more than a month after becoming a member of this body, Representative Omar suggested that the Jewish people and the American Israel Public Affairs Committee were buying political support, writing on Twitter, "It's all about the Benjamins, baby," clearly amplifying an anti-Semitic stereotype about the Jewish people and money. In response, congressional Democratic leadership, her own party, immediately released a statement by saying, "Anti-Semitism must be called out, confronted, and condemned wherever it is encountered without exception." Not long after Representative Omar trivialized the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, by describing that day of infamy as "some people did something." That's horrific. Some people did something. Yes, Mr. Speaker, some people did do something. Some people committed evil acts of terrorism and killed nearly 3,000 Americans. And in response, some thousands of our fellow citizens, myself included, enlisted in our armed forces to defend the gentlelady's right to make her prejudiced remarks. Many went off to combat and even
Then came the moment that pierced through every distraction Miller read. Omar's old tweet, the Benjamins comment, the one that reignited wounds older than the debate itself. He didn't need drama. The words spoke for themselves, and the room felt their gravity. He reminded everyone that even her own party once condemned those remarks, proving that this wasn't about party lines, but moral lines. He brought back her 9/11 statement, the phrase, "some people did something," and you could see the shock ripple through the chamber. Miller wasn't just speaking, he was demanding accountability in a place that often forgets what that means.
But they did not die fighting to have their bravery and love of country undermined by a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Mr. Speaker, I have no words to describe just how utterly unacceptable these comments are. But that's not all. In 2021, the gentlelady referred to Israel, which has the absolute right to defend itself against terrorism and attacks on its very existence, as an apartheid state. She even equated the United States and Israel, countries that have stood as beacons of democracy, to the Taliban and Hamas, organizations that impose terror on their regions in the world. Once again, even her Democrat colleagues swiftly condemned her comment. 12 Democrat members of this body released a statement which noted, equating the United States and Israel to Hamas and the Taliban is as offensive as it is misguided, ignoring the differences between democracies governed by the rule of law and contemptible organizations that engage in terrorism. At best discredits one intended argument and at worst reflects deep-seated prejudice from her own party. Some have decried this effort as a political game. Mr. Speaker, I assure you this is no political game. This resolution is not about engaging in a tit.
The tone shifted from argument to emotion when Miller spoke about those who enlisted after 9/11, including himself. The chamber listened not to a politician but to a soldier, reminding the nation of what sacrifice really looks like. He said those men and women fought for her right to speak, but not for that right to be used to trivialize their deaths. His voice cracked with conviction. This wasn't performance. This was pain, wrapped in patriotism. He made every listener feel the difference between freedom of speech and disrespect for sacrifice. And in that moment, politics faded and principle stood alone.
Anti-Semitic and anti-Israel bias off the Foreign Affairs Committee, which needs objective emissaries for our foreign policy. Even the Democrat former chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Eliot Engel, said that Representative Omar's anti-Semitic comments have no place in the Foreign Affairs Committee or the House of Representatives. That was in addition to the previously mentioned joint statement from 12 of the gentlelady's Democrat colleagues. The facts are clear. Representative Omar has espoused anti-Semitic and anti-Israel rhetoric time and again. She cannot be an objective contributor to the work of the committee, and she has brought dishonor to the House of Representatives. This body, this committee, which is viewed by nations around the world as speaking for Congress on matters of international importance and national security, should not have a seat for a member who would bring such dishonor to that committee. I encourage all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this resolution, to say with one voice that the United States House of Representatives does not condone hate, and to reaffirm we will always condemn anti-Semitism.
But Miller didn't stop there. He brought up her comparison of Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban, and the shock was instant. He called it an insult to every soldier, every citizen, and every ally who stands for democracy. He read the statement of 12 Democrats who condemned her, showing that even her own side saw the danger in those words. This wasn't revenge, this was repair. He argued that words shape the nation's credibility, and that letting hate go unchecked weakens everything. America stands for, the message was crystal clear. Neutrality in the face of division is surrender.